Hello again, everyone. We thank you for joining in with us. This is the beginning of one of our 7 pillars of this particular ministry, which is entitled Cleansing the Sanctuary Ministries. I want to be really clear about the meaning of that. Cleansing the sanctuary, what don't you know, says the Apostle Rav Shaul, you might know him better as Paul, that you are the temple of Yahweh's Spirit. Everyone is looking for a rebuilt temple in Jerusalem. And while that may or may not occur, what Yahweh is referring to is not so much that temple as this temple and this temple. The temple of the mind and of the heart. Now that has been polluted for over 2,000 years. We have had the indoctrination of false teachings from the institution known as the Church and Orthodox Judaism, and a cleansing of that sanctuary, a beginning of the proper teachings of Yahweh, the truthful teachings. The scripture says, and the truth will be thrown to the ground. Well, that happened almost immediately following Messiah's ascension and the apostles' teaching. Here's the key to salvation, people. We have to be willing to engage in that struggle. See, the great deception, especially in the Protestant church, is that YAHtoob, Hebrew for the adversary, YAHtoob, has used deception, her major weapon, her number one weapon. She's only got 2 weapons. You need to recognize them so that you know how to do spiritual battle. Her 2 weapons are deception. Her second weapon is to wear us out. Daniel chapter 7. You must not get worn down. You must do the things that Yahweh tells you to do. Keep Shabbat holy, a day of rest. Eat right, exercise. Don't fill your mind up with things that you're later on going to have to fight. You know, you do all this work to get rid of old strongholds, and then through bad TV, bad radio, bad music, bad friends, bad activities, you bring new strongholds in. And then you go to worship on Shabbat, and you got to do battle all over again. You can't advance that way. It's about living a holy life and enjoying it. You can't do this without love. We are here in Cleansing the Sanctuary to continue the moving forward. Continue the moving forward. Started by Ellen G. White back in 1844. This movement was prophesied to bring forth the truth out of darkness. Yahweh has a day or a time for everything to occur. The light could not be turned on entirely. You will find a few falsehoods in Ellen G. White's teaching. Only a few. But the light couldn't be turned on all at once. We would go blind. It had to be turned on gradually because there is so much falsehood that has been taught to us through what is labeled the church, both Catholic and Protestant. The Protestant church is really clever because they claim to follow the word, and they have a great deal of truth that gets you hooked. But then you get mentally lazy, and then they slip that falsehood in on you. So this is important. It's everything, actually, because you can't do right until you know right. And you got to know right in order to do right. So the first step is to learn to distinguish between truth and falsehood. And that's what we're here for, to cleanse the sanctuary. Cleanse the sanctuary. Don't go looking for a physical sanctuary. We're not sure from the scripture if that's going to happen. Yahweh has kept it from happening for 2,000 years to get our attention On what? On the inner man. That's where we're supposed to be focused in these latter days. On the inner man. The New Testament, the Brit Hadashah, differs from the Old Testament, the Tanakh, in this way. In the Tanakh, there was great emphasis and detail on law keeping. Because that's not done in the New Testament, everybody thinks, oh, the law is no longer required. No. The law is assumed. But there are numerous scriptures that tell you that the law can only take you so far. To complete the journey, you must have a change in heart and in personality and in character. Heart, personality, and character. The inner man must change while keeping the law. There's two aspects to the law. There's the outer law, the letter of the law, and then there's the inner law, the spirit of the law. We have to learn to re-keep the outer law while we are also working hard, and it is hard work. And it is the distinguishing characteristic of those who make it versus those who don't. The willingness to do the inner work of the inner man. To accept the fact that we are not as righteous as we think we are, and we got serious work to do. Those of you who are YAHtoob who have come out and are attempting to follow Yahweh the most are most susceptible. Because remember, the devil is not omniscient. She has perfect wisdom, but she is not omniscient. She doesn't know everything. So she's probably got a big computer screen with 6 billion lights on it. And all the ones that are red in the world are hers. So it's a pretty big red screen. But then somebody comes out and really is introduced to the true faith, and it turns their heart. And then it's a green light. And so she sends a low-level demon to attack you right away. You continue to progress forward, new level, new devil. And that just continues. As the book of Hebrews and the writer Paul says, we must come out of drinking spiritual milk, and we must. It is a necessary part of our salvation to start eating spiritual meat. This ministry is all about spiritual meat. We have very little spiritual milk. The only spiritual milk we have is to invite you to cut covenant with Messiah, be baptized, and eat the Passover to solidify the ceremony of that covenant. Beyond that, we will direct you to a ministry, and if there is none near you, then we will direct you through these viewings and written writings that we are preparing. We're not there yet to have large enough stores of our written writings to start handing them out. But when we do, we will announce them for you to worship on your own or in small groups at home to fulfill the commandment and to please Yahweh. This is an extremely important lesson. So many falsehoods are cleared up by getting this lesson right. It is entitled, Are the Dead Really Dead? Are the Dead Really Dead? Or, why come back for a body that is already in heaven?